So welcome to Module 4. This is where it all comes together. So we're going to go from theory to practice and present the tools and modalities and lifestyle, food therapy, herbs, just everything that we would do in the clinic if a patient came into us with issues with getting pregnant, fertility, women's health issues preventing them from getting pregnant. So we are not holding back. We are not gatekeeping anything here. Now that you know the theory of Jing, Shen, Yin and Yang, blood and Qi, we can now speak in the language of the things that help benefit them all, how we can enhance the specific pillars that when they're all nourished and all functioning properly, that is when a pregnancy happens. Not only a pregnancy happens, but a really good pregnancy experience, labor experience, and overall just much better health as women. So let's jump in. The healing plan. So this is the plan, like a general one that everybody can follow to prepare the mother. So in the culture, our culture right now, you just make the decision like, oh, it's time to start having a baby. Let's just start having a baby. And we don't prepare for pregnancy. We just kind of jump into it and hope it happens. Because in high school, like, you know, those people come and they're just like, they make it sound like getting pregnant is so easy. Like, don't have sex because you will get pregnant. And so we all have this kind of belief that when we start trying, it's just going to happen. But in all other cultures, like when you get married, you start preparing your body for motherhood and pregnancy, like traditionally through soups, through herbs, through lifestyle, through not superstitions, but traditional sort of things that have been passed down from generation to generation to start becoming more woman and start really setting the precipice into the body that it becomes ready for a baby. And when you start trying, body feels safe, hormones feel nourished, enough nutrient reserves, and that click does happen and pregnancy happens quicker. So the healing plan to prepare the mother, and everybody can follow this, nourish and restore the qi, the jing, the blood reserves, which we now know what these are. 2 is balance the yin and yang. Make sure we're fluctuating right in the middle of that ratio. We're not too yin, not too yang. We're right where we're meant to be in harmony. 3, relax and anchor the shen and nourish the heart. So starting to really bring the spirit into the body, being present in the body, starting to release things that are maybe plaguing us emotionally, that it's burning a lot of our qi. So we're nourishing the heart, expanding the heart, getting ready spiritually on a physical and spiritual level for a baby and motherhood. 4, warm and prepare the baby room, which is the uterus. So 4 is also translated to maybe move qi and blood through the uterus. So increasing that circulation, so nutrition can go to the uterine lining, nice blood qualities, plumping everything up, helping the egg quality. So that circulatory function of the uterus to help with implantation and just the quality of those eggs coming out as well. So these are the primary principles to prepare the body for a pregnancy and provide the body everything needed to sustain a pregnancy. So everything we're going to cover is really going to be enhancing these 4 intentions through those pillars that we went over in Module 3. So this is how we're going to do it. We're going to do it through herbs, herbology, food therapy, body work, lifestyle, mind, and spirit. So a patient who comes to an acupuncturist, a holistic practitioner, an Eastern holistic practitioner, sometimes Ayurveda, these are the big tools like in the treasure chest that we use to expedite this process of getting to our health goals. We're, again, not holding back here. Things we've learned in school, through clinical application, through other masters, practitioner lineages, ancient texts that we have studied for years and years and applied to patients we work with. we are going to put them in each of these categories, go through how to apply it, go through what specific pillar or part of the body it is working on for fertility specifically. We are basically going to come up with a plan for ourselves to incorporate into life to expedite this goal to get pregnant and heal our fertility issues. And it is actually really simple. When we really balance and target any angle that could be going wrong, nourish ourselves, move our bodies in specific ways that accomplish a specific intention, it will click. And it's beautiful how it happens. I see it every day in clinic. When we really practice and use these ancient wisdoms that have been handed down to us, you feel like you're on a higher vibe, your body's functioning at a better level. I cannot wait to dive in and get into this. So by the end, we will have a treasure trove of modalities and things that we can draw from and be able to individualize kind of what works in your life and kind of what is most applicable to you. So let's start off with herbology. Herbal medicine for fertility. And if you go to most Eastern medical doctors, master acupuncturists, if you go straight to Taiwan, Japan, China, Korea, go to an infertility specialist, you are most likely going to be given herbs first. It is just the fastest and best way to harmonize the body and give it things that it needs that might be deficient and not functioning properly. So we're starting off strong with herbology, herbal medicine for fertility. Gentle as food, yet more medicinal and bioavailable to expedite success. Balance and nourish the hormone symptoms, targeted to all systems involved with becoming pregnant and sustaining a pregnancy. The goal is to nourish versus force. So this isn't, again, like, oh, we're giving you something that has estrogen in it to stim stronger or LHFSH, and then like, oh, we're going to switch over to progesterone. Like, we're not mimicking a medicated cycle, although there are components in it that do stimulate these things. This is more to nourish every pillar involved with getting pregnant so that these are overflowing with function, nutrients, direction that it needs. So herbal medicine, if you pair whatever you're doing with herbal medicine, you are going to get to that goal so much faster. So primary herbs for fertility and women's health. So what we did is come up with a general tea for fertility specifically. Looking across the text and the thousands and thousands of formulas created for fertility dysfunction in acupuncture, herbal medicine, these herbs are the ones that are used at the highest ratios across the board. So it's very customized for fertility specifically. And in the East, these are considered superfoods, like super herbs for fertility and women's health. A lot of people take these herbs starting as teenagers just to stabilize their essence, women's health, their blood, their chi. It targets every single pillar that we went over with adrenal health, blood quality, moving the chi, preserving the jing. Like, this is the ultimate tonic that is gentle enough to be taken every single day, but powerful enough to stabilize for years and years and years of fertility. So the first one is dazao, which is Chinese red date. Second, goji berry. Third, ginger, fresh ginger. The fourth is Ceylon cinnamon, rogui, and nettle leaf tea. So jujube, Chinese red date, dazao. This one is used to tonify qi and blood, calms the spirit. It strongly encourages blood production, harmonizes all the other herbs together. When used alone, it's often used for blood deficiency, and it also strengthens digestion and assimilation of nutrients. So this herb is actually a big postpartum herb. Like, after you give birth, you drink just this alone in a tea every day to replenish all the blood and the fluids lost in childbirth. So using it ahead of time really helps prepare for pregnancy And not just like the red blood cells, the hematocrit, like the volume of blood, but the consistency and the nutrient capacity that blood can hold is what it's known for most. It harmonizes the other herbs, as in when you add it to a formula, it helps them all synergize to each other. So it opens their bioavailability so they can connect to each other and accomplish the same intention. So you can use an herb in this formula or use this herb in another formula, and it can be completely different intentions depending on which ones are paired together. So you have to add harmonizers in order for them to really bond together to accomplish the same goal. So a lot of harmonizers in this one specifically. Goji berry is used to nourish the blood, the kidneys, yin and jing. It improves follicular quality, uterine lining thickness, and uterine lining quality. It's considered a superfood for its level of antioxidants, which is very, very high compared to other berries. It's considered a primary tonic in Chinese medicine, and it's used daily by many elderly people in the East for longevity purposes. So this is considered a longevity herb. It's very specific to find longevity herbs that can primarily work on jing, because we all know how hard the jing kind of is to replenish once it's used because it is so finite. But this herb is really very famous just due to its impact on that postnatal jing. It also works for the kidneys, so bolstering the adrenal capacity. If you have adrenal fatigue, it's really amazing to just help replenish that. So really big tonic, kind of like the first, but maybe a little stronger. Ginger, which we all know this one. So ginger has so many uses. For fertility specifically, ginger is known to rescue devastated yang and expel interior cold. So devastated yang is like severe overwork, like to the point where you collapse at home and have to Netflix and be curled up in a ball kind of thing. It warms the middle and strengthens digestion. It harmonizes and neutralizes the whole body. It circulates qi. Studies effect of ginger is a very strong anti-inflammatory, prostaglandin blocker. This is used a lot in endometriosis or severe painful periods. It's anti-spasmodic enzyme and muscle relaxing properties, which you can all test out. If you're not drinking wine right now, which for fertility, like we should definitely lower our alcohol intake, juice a fresh ginger knob. Like get about 1 to 2 tablespoons of fresh juice, add it to tea, like around 8 ounces of water, and just sip on that through the night. And you will literally feel your traps start to melt, and you'll feel kind of like a little loose, like you would with a glass of wine. And you'll feel that like muscle relaxant enzyme, and it's really, really cool. If you need like to take the extra edge off, you can test that out. It's really awesome. It supports the gonadotropin hormone. Rat studies show increased successful implantation with ginger, fresh ginger. Some research suggests that ginger has a positive impact on folliculogenesis, so the follicular growth and the way it cues up into the ovary, the process of follicle development in the ovaries. For the sake of implantation and for helping like lower that inflammation or stagnation in the ovaries to help get that follicular potential and that egg to grow in a really good environment, ginger's our guy. So definitely a big pillar in our fertility tea recipe. This one is such a good one. Rogue, specifically Ceylon cinnamon. This one is so fragrant. It smells so good. Rogue. So this is really famous for warming the kidneys. It strengthens fertility capacity specifically, and it warms the yang and the Ming men. It disperses deep cold, so deep cold, like from the spine and organ level, and it warms the channels, specifically the meridians, the pathways, and the channels that run through the uterus, the spine, the ovaries, which, my gosh, is like exactly what we need for fertility. It also balances blood sugar, which is really good for PCOS archetypes. So if you're like eat something and spike up really high and then crash down like with your blood sugar and you kind of feel grumpy, if you haven't eaten, or if you eat, you crash and get really tired, this helps harmonize that. In this picture down here, you'll see a little meridian or acupuncture point called Du 4, governing vessel 4, Ming Men. This herb is said to specifically warm that acupuncture point, and that acupuncture point activates the Ming Men, which is this belt. So you'll see that line that runs to the umbilicus. You want to keep that belt really warm. That point in the spine is said to be the root of our fire and the root of like the furnace that warms our adrenals. So again, we know how important the Jing is. Jing is stored in the adrenals. So that acupuncture point is the gate to warming the Jing and building the Jing and keeping the kidneys nice and like nourished and warm. So the gate of life is also what this is called as well, has many names, but the gate of life and the seat to sexual vitality is located in the Ming Men, aka governor vessel 4. And this herb is said to warm it, to preserve it, to add to it. In martial arts, this is like the area that we want to cultivate to have more power, and it's deeply associated with Jing. Not like primarily, but secondarily by warming the kidneys. So this one is, again, another elegant, gets really deep and depending on what it's paired with, changes kind of the function of the body. The way we're pairing it in this fertility tea and fertility formula is going to just really bolster your kidneys and warm you in the places that we really need to have a pregnancy. And the last one is nettle leaf tea. So this one actually is not that common in Chinese medicine and Chinese herbal formulas, but we find it really clinically applicable for like modern day. It has a small cooling effect, so it balances the warming herbs in this specific fertility tonic tea. It's a mild antihistamine, which we'll go over later why that's important. It tones the liver, so it keeps the liver nice and flowing and open, and it's not like holding on to old hormones or old toxins that needs to be like continuing through. Very mildly though, because we don't want to detox anything too hard when we're trying to get pregnant. It cleanses the blood from environmental toxins and toxins in food. So as you're eating, if there's anything kind of toxic or you're inhaling, you're walking in the mall and get some like toxins from the air or the like smog or whatever, it cleans the blood as it's coming in. So it's a nice, gentle, like it's a very gentle way of just keeping toxins like in and out, and not like implanting into the liver or anything, or the lymphatic system. It regulates the cycle. It's a hormone harmonizer, and it's a best all-around female gentle tonic. So nettle leaf is very famous for having a lot of antihistamine effects, and also it's basically like a multivitamin. It has so much nutrients and minerals in the leaf that it's used a lot in tea for like kind of like a vitamin. I wouldn't say like use this as a prenatal, like I would keep taking your prenatal like to have more, but it's up there with how bioavailable nutrients it holds. We have so much warming herbs in our tea, we have to add something slightly cooling so it's balanced. If not, we can't drink this all year round, because in the summer we'll get too hot. In the winter we can still drink the tea because It's warming with a little cooling. Basically, it just makes it like more balanced for long-term use. The antihistamine aspect of it is really helpful for implantation. So when an embryo gets to your lining and it's starting to implant for pregnancy, it's kind of a violent thing. Like it's hitting the lining and it's burrowing in to like go into that myometrium to kind of start growing, and then comes back out with the placenta that starts implanting. A lot of friction, a lot of like blood flow. And we don't want histamine here. Like we don't want your immune system to be like, what's going on here? And send all those white blood cells in your immune system over to like inflame the area. We want to keep the area nice and like anti-inflamed, antihistamine. So this nettle tea is really helpful for that beginning kind of like first trimester pregnancy process in those 8 days where implantation occurs. So it helps keep that environment really happy and like not inflamed, along with the other herbs. And I love the way it regulates the cycle is so cool because again, it doesn't push or pull, it doesn't add hormones or take away hormones. Nothing we're suggesting will do that in this course, but it does open like the capacity in the brain to release and absorb LH and FSH. So if you're worried about like not having a strong ovulation, this makes sure that the communication pathways and the receptors in the brain are open and like looking for and ready to release FSH and LH to the ovaries, and vice versa, like ovaries release to the brain. So really good for communication pathways, specifically for FSH and LH, which is so cool. And just helps the brain stay like open and ready to receive and give hormones. And again, like another awesome thing, cleanses the blood from environmental toxins and toxins in food. So it's not like a big detox where you're taking something that's like detoxing you really heavily. It's like a maintenance. Like we're maintaining our detox pathways. So whatever comes in, gets cleaned up in the blood and it comes out. And also paired with the high antioxidants of goji berry, you're basically keeping the environment really like clean and safe from any environmental factors. Because the high antioxidant content from goji berry helps get rid of free radicals or any like cellular debris or gunk that shouldn't be in there. So all of this together is like a beautiful orchestra. If you look at them individually and then how they interact with each other. When you decoct it, a decoction is when you boil something down and releases the flavonoids, the polyphenols, the antioxidants, like the oils from all of these things. When you decoct something correctly, they merge into one. The essence of each of these herbs are going to come out and they're going to become one, and it's going to have a beautiful, beautiful intention on the body and for fertility specifically. So they are going to synergize so great in the body and help accomplish like rejuvenating, nourishing, toning, anything that could possibly be wrong. Anything that could possibly be wrong, this should help mend that. And that's exactly what we want. And yeah, so let's go into, I am going to make a PDF and a demonstration on how to go about this. So don't worry about screenshotting or memorizing this. I'll probably have like an official recipe, but this is the synergy, like the medicinal synergy of the doses. So we go by grams, but we're gonna do it by tablespoon and kind of like size. And again, I'm gonna show you like where to order this, where to find this. It's going to be so easy, and you'll be able to make this in big batches where you can drink it every day, or small little batches where you can kind of like make it as you go. It'll be super easy. Don't be overwhelmed yet. So I'll have like a printer friendly, like super easy way to follow this, where you can just put it on your fridge and like just go by the recipe there. Continuing on with herbal medicine, we usually advise to take an extra kidney tonic on top of a tea or herbal prescription that we give. This helps with the egg quality and just like bolstering your jing, because we're in a modern world and we're women and we're working and stress, etc. It's just good to have like an extra line of defense to protect your kidneys, because we are protecting our kidneys and our jing at all cost. That is like the fertility thing, the fertility capacity, in charge of quality, all those things. So we want to like do an extra thing just to have a more line of defense to protect that kidney yin, kidney yang, that jing, that adrenal power. Especially if we have like taxed into that adrenal power, fight or flight a lot, definitely want an extra kidney tonic in there. So we usually have people pick between royal jelly or cordyceps. Take them in the morning because they can be a little energizing. Royal jelly is a bee product. It's been used for like since Egyptian times, thousands of years, for feminine essence and for helping with egg quality. The cordyceps are a mushroom, an adaptogenic mushroom, and it helps a lot with the kidneys specifically, and also with adaptability to stress. It also oxygenates the whole body. So if you have like allergies or lung stuff or like immune issues, like you're kind of that person that gets like hives or like easy allergies around like allergy season, or you get sick often, cordyceps have a really good immune strengthening function to it as well. So general modifications. We're all going through different things. Some of us are in a general category, like we've been kind of in the unexplained fertility, like we've been just trying for a long time and nothing's happening. This is for those who have flagged in a specific area that is preventing them from getting pregnant, like in your lab test or suspicions. And with that, I like to modify this herbal tea or modify your herbal medicine a little bit. So this is very safe. Again, it's like food grade. So you can add this to the tea or add it on top of the tea. So you can do like 1 cup of tea and then another cup of like this herb or suggestion. So if you have a history of miscarriages, habitual miscarriages, recurring miscarriages, early pregnancy loss, anything along the lines of this at all, please add 2 sticks of Huang Qi, astragalus root, to raise the qi and lift any sinking. It's been used for miscarriage, like a history of miscarriage specifically, to rule out it being qi deficiency, sinking the qi down, or the body not locking in pregnancy sufficiently. Severe fatigue, swelling in the ankles, low blood pressure, and dizziness, also add 2 sticks of Huang Qi. Severe fatigue, swelling, low blood pressure, dizziness, it's like a sinking down. Like you're qi deficient, everything's down bearing, and we need to raise your qi as well, because it's just not reaching upward. And to get pregnant, you need to have strong qi reserves, and everything needs to be toned up. So another application for Huang Qi, if you're very high strung, like type A, severe stress, or Shen disturbance, which we know Shen is the spirit, like you can look at the eyes, you can kind of assess yourself if you feel like maybe your spirit is trying to leave your body and your life is just pushing you way too hard, you're way too stressed, too anxious, add 1 sachet of lemon balm. So you can buy lemon balm in that box like a tea and just add a sachet in there, or a tablespoon of lemon balm, like dry leaves. This is a very beautiful herb. It crosses into the nervous system, not in a sedating way, but just to harmonize the central nervous system from the sympathetic nervous system. Endometriosis, if you're suspecting it or you've been told by doctors you have it, or you've had a laparoscopy that has confirmed that you maybe are prone to endometriosis lesions, add passion flower tea to your fertility tea. This helps lower aromatase, which is like an estrogen modulation enzyme that can contribute to endometriosis. And have an extra cup of ginger tea daily, especially if you have period pain. Ginger is that antispasmodic. It is almost as powerful as Advil. So if you're taking ginger tea around your period, especially, just to help keep everything relaxed and open and block prostaglandin. Prostaglandin is what puts people into labor. It's like a hormone that's released to start contracting your uterus to get the blood out. Or for labor, it's released to start your contractions. And some of us have way too much prostaglandin. So when we're around period time or having period time, it's like the cramps are so bad that it can actually be compared to labor pain. And a lot of us are suffering with this and not a lot of help, which I'll probably make a whole other course on period pain, because it is, wouldn't wish that on anybody. But ginger, it sounds so simple, but ginger tea daily around your cycle, through your cycle, will help bring the pain down, because it does block prostaglandin. And you can look at the studies on this. It is so cool. It almost blocks it just as much as Advil. Passion flower tea to the fertility tea and an extra cup of ginger tea daily, especially before and during your menstrual cycles if you have endometriosis or severe period pain. And if you have severe period pain, that doesn't mean you have endometriosis. Probably means you have too much inflammation, stagnation of blood, and it's increasing your prostaglandin because it has to contract so much harder to get that blood out. So definitely in this category, a good modification to have. General PCOS. If you're just in that archetype of PCOS, like long cycles, irregular cycles, you know for a fact you have cystic activities in the ovaries, like from ultrasounds, like some follicle stagnation, high AMH, like you're flagging in PCOS. 1 tablespoon of red clover tea to the fertility tea. So that'll synergize with the tea to also address the ovaries and like the cystic activity and the hormone miscommunication going on in there, which the other herbs will also do as well. And it'll just synergize better to have a stronger application towards the PCOS situation and mechanism. PCOS is such an umbrella. It's I think, a little bit of a lazy diagnosis, because you can be given PCOS diagnosis but not have like polycystic ovaries. Just like, again, I could probably make a whole other course on this, but this is just like general modifications if you fall into these categories. The PCOS archetype with DHT, I think it is, like you're having hair growth on the face, thinning hair on the scalp, you're having like skin discoloration, maybe severe cystic acne with like scarring, hyperpigmentation on the face. So this is a very specific form of PCOS. I want you guys to drink a spearmint tea daily in addition to your fertility tea. This has, I can go on and on about the clinical studies on spearmint tea with the PCOS that is manifesting as this type. It is really great for lowering the form of androgens and testosterone that is like manifesting DHT symptoms, and it works within 2 weeks. So you'll notice like those symptoms going away, and then your hormones can actually talk to each other because you have lower androgen, lower testosterone, like blocking the signal for everybody else. So spearmint tea daily in addition to fertility tea will help that the harmony of the hormones like orchestrating with each other much better, because you have too much testosterone or androgens that are just like screaming and kind of blocking everybody else from talking. No ovulation or very irregular cycle. So anovulation, which is technically in the PCOS category. Some people call it like lean PCOS. It's such an umbrella diagnosis, but like if you're just, you're stuck, you're not ovulating, you're not getting your periods, you have to maybe take like those progesterone pills for the 8 days and stop to like have a breakthrough bleeding. Like if you're in this category, add the 1 tablespoon of red clover to your fertility tea and add in some shatavari capsules. Shatavari herb is an adaptogen, and it helps with kind of fluctuating the estrogen better. If it's too high, it'll lower it. If it's too low, it'll raise it. And yeah, so that is Herbology. Again, if you just add this in to whatever you're doing, it is going to bring up any angle within, let me find that here, within this healing plan. It addresses every single aspect of these intentions. It also addresses every single aspect of the Qi, Jing, Shen, Yin, Yang blood, so that we're right in the middle here and benefiting from nourishing all those things. So very, very intentional, very, very powerful, yet gentle herbal formula that's going to do a lot of heavy lifting with what could possibly be hindering you from getting pregnant. So very beautiful formula. I'm really excited for you guys to try it. And I'll have some bonuses and more support on how to make it. Maybe some like bulk containers and the measurements from that, so you can make it in bulk once a week and drink it through the week. And I'll have like a way where you can make it daily as well. So really excited for you guys to get into it. And yeah, we will move on to the next.